Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for January 28th, 2025. Well, we have been moving through this month quickly, and boy, it has been quite a celebration to the upside. And although we had some major selling in the tech sector yesterday, the Dow itself said, nope, we want to go higher, and really benefited from the selling in the NASDAQ, pushing some of those funds over into the Dow. So how about we take a look at what happened overnight here in these markets and see how things are shaping up. First off, Asian markets. We've got quite a few Asian markets are closed here on the day. We have Taiwan, South Korea, and Chinese markets were closed last night for the New Year holiday. Hong Kong only traded for half a day in trading. However, we had it closing just a tiny bit higher by 0.14%. Japan had a rough day, falling 1.39% yesterday. India ended up being up 0.97% after their Reserve Bank announced that they are going to really start pumping some money into their financial system, trying to push things back up, $17 billion into that. And Australia ended the day just slightly lower, so a little bit of mix in there. If we take a look at European markets this morning, they are all bullish, trying to shake off the tech sell-off yesterday. Right now we have the DAX up 0.63%, the FTSE is up 0.59%, and the CAC is up 0.39%, trying to push back here on the day. If we look at U.S. futures right now, we've been up in the Dow futures, and just now Dow futures have gone just slightly negative, down $21 this morning. S&P 500 futures are up 11 points as tech tries to recover some, and NASDAQ futures up 70 points at the moment. Let's take a look at what we've got going on in oil. If we take a look at XLE, we're getting a little bit of a bounce back up here today. Oil at the moment up 50 cents a barrel in the oil futures at 73.67 a barrel. Brent crude is at 77.65 a barrel, also up this morning. And natural gas continuing to pull back here, right now down 9 cents. So UNG still pulling back here a bit in that chart. Now, if we take a look at cryptos here this morning, cryptos had that pretty rough day yesterday, but they're trying to claw some of that back as well. Bitcoin right now up $1,972 a coin. We have Ether up this morning 2%, up $62.88. Again, trying to claw back a little bit there in the market. And one thing that is probably helping them is we are continuing to see the US dollar here trying to push back up this morning. Now that might be helping some of these cryptos here as a little bit of worry comes into the market, so we'll want to keep an eye on that. And one of the reasons that's happening, of course, is today is the beginning of the FOMC meeting. They will not make their decision until Wednesday afternoon, but we'll want to be keeping that in mind. We've also got precious metals looking a little bit better today. We saw a pretty substantial sell-off in gold yesterday, coming into an area of support in here, and that's something I'd be paying attention to. Right now, gold up $8.90 an ounce. Silver also had a rough day yesterday, breaking back down below its trend, trying to pick back up here this morning. Right now, silver futures are up 15 cents an ounce at $30.57. If we take a look at copper this morning, Copper's also just slightly higher. If we look at COPX, you can see it's been building this base in here, trying to get something going. Copper been struggling quite a bit. Platinum is slightly higher, and palladium is slightly higher today as well. So, what does all that mean? Oh, you know what? We better take a look at those bonds real quick. 2-year bonds right now moving just slightly higher, 4.22%. 10-year bonds, 4.56%. And those 30-year bonds creeping back up to 4.80%. Remember, we have right now, Fed Funds Futures is suggesting a 97% chance that the FOMC will leave rates flat, despite the demand of President Trump saying, I demand rates come down. Well, I'm not sure he's going to have anything to say about that. So we'll see how that plays out here today. Let's take a look at what we have going on in the rest of the market here. So let's settle in and buckle up, and let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these charts. Remember, when we do this, we want to shake off that bias. We want to look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and try to focus in on what might come next, either bullishly or bearishly. So first off, yesterday, big move here in the diamonds yesterday, breaking through this resistance here in the chart. So if we can continue that bullish move, well, you can see right up in here is going to be that next level of price resistance. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to move this line right up there. That's where I'll be watching the resistance in the chart. And if we can push on through that area, then I think we have that possibility that we could test all-time highs here in the diamonds. There certainly has been a major push going on here, despite the fact that our valuations are really extended. But that being said, we can stay bullish in here as long as those bulls continue to try and buy everything up in the market. So watch that carefully. Now, if the bears were to come in and have anything to say, a push back into this area of price support wouldn't hurt anything at all. Might be a healthy thing for the Dow to do. Breaking back below there might raise a little bit of concern. Remember, if we were to pierce that candle halfway down, then that's kind of could signal a bit of reversal, and we do want to keep in mind that possibility that we could still make a lower high here in the Dow, kind of completing this potential head and shoulders pattern here. It is a very offset head and shoulders, but that possibility could certainly exist. So pay attention to that. Let's take a look on our moving averages, though. We're well above our 50-day moving average. So any pullback in here that comes back into this area, 50-day moving average, for a little bit of rest would be a pretty normal situation for the market. So keep an eye on that. Now, if we take a look at our SPY, very different situation here for the SPY, and although we're trying to gap up and claw back just a little bit, you'll want to notice that we left a major gap behind. We're going to be pushing up, and as we push up, we've got these areas of little resistance right in there, a bigger area of resistance in here that we're going to have to reclaim. And unfortunately, we've got some big tech earnings reports, and there's probably some uncertainty coming into those big tech earnings reports and those valuations based on this new information in here on DeepSeek, even though the government is trying to figure out ways that they can restrict China on that. It's going to be a very interesting situation here to try and navigate here, because we do have these tech stocks are very elevated in their valuations and PE ratios here in the market. Now, if those bulls find some bearish inspiration here today, breaking down below this area here would probably raise a little bit of concern on any pullback today, because they're trying to claw back some of those gains. We'll see if they can hold that in here or not. Pushing back down into here again, pierce of that candle, that recovery candle yesterday, could be a little bit of concern. And one of the reasons that would be the case is we might be back down here testing the 50-day moving average, and even a possible break of that would be a big concern here for the market. Now, the QQQ, the worst of the bunch here at the moment. Really hard push. Again, we're trying to bounce back up. Nvidia's trying to bounce back up. We're trying to claw back some of those gains. But watch that carefully here. We're pumping into some resistance in the chart. If the bears were to have any inspiration on this today, pushing this back down and creating a situation here where that gap is not being filled would probably raise some concern in owners of big tech. So watch that carefully. And I do think we have the possibility, if that starts to happen, the CTA computers out there and those institutional computers will start to sell. And if that happens, we could see some pretty strong moves to the downside. But if those bulls can push through in here, if we can shake off any of this worry about DeepSeek and not worry about upcoming earnings and valuations and things like that, and we can start pushing back up into this area, well, we've got some resistance right there in that chart that we'll want to be looking at for the next upside target, and then pushing on through there, we'll come back up here maybe to this area of the chart. Now, you do want to keep in mind that we have a potential failure coming into play here on the QQQ. The pop back up pushing us this morning, pushing us right into that 50-day moving average. So we've got that 50-day moving average resistance in here, and the uncertainty in the market probably raising those concerns. If we take a look at IWM, well, IWM was kind of, like the rented mule yesterday. It was completely ignored. The poor thing didn't get fed at all. And as you can see in here, while we were pumping the Dow, it was the only index yesterday that held up, and held up strongly, while everything else was lower on the day, substantially lower, and IWM just didn't get any attention at all. We didn't see any of those major inflows coming into IWM. No major change here, however. I still like this potential setup here. If we can recover yesterday, notice we've still got that chance of holding in this range. If we can recover in here and see that push back up, well, then there might be that bullish setup coming here in the Russell. If, however, we get any follow through to the downside in here and break that trend, it's going to raise a little concern. We might push back into this area of price support, so watch that carefully. Now, our VIX had quite a pop and drop yesterday. Popped up big. We were up here well above 20 handles in the VIX. Pulled back pretty substantially, ended up closing the day just below 18 handles in the VIX and coming into this price support. And we've recovered this trend all in one fell swoop. So it's going to be really important how the market follows through today. What is it going to do? Are we going to get that bullish follow through to shake off this shock? Do we see any bearish activity come in? It's going to be really important here. If the bears do have something to say and we push back up off of this, might raise some major concerns in the market and really bring in some selling. We need to see those bulls come in confidently and start pushing this back down, breaking back down below that upside trend. So watch that closely today. Our T20s Or T20 indicators in here, we've got quite a little bit going on in here on those T20s here as well. T21, 22 pulling back, leaving a little bit of a higher low here. I gotta tell you, this was really remarkable that we had 3 indexes lower on the day. T21, 22 barely moved. A remarkable thing to see. So in that circumstance, if the bulls continue to find inspiration here, well, we've got some room up here to push back up here toward that bearish reversal area of the market. However, if those bears were to find any kind of inspiration on the day, we want to keep in mind we've got a very big downside opportunity that could be filled here from these valuations in the market. So watch carefully on that. I still think with the emotion that we have in the market, the pending FOMC, the big tech reports, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. I would be watching for whipsaws in the market that could be very big point moves as well. If we take a look at our T2108, T2108 actually moved up yesterday, and I am stunned by that. Seeing 3 indexes sharply lower, it really shows you how much how centric we were into just big tech here. So watch that carefully. Pushing on up, we're still below 50% in here. We've got 46, almost 47% of the stocks above their 40-day moving average. So we'll want to watch that closely. We need those bulls to continue to push toward that level. You want to notice that there is a little bit of resistance in there. If that were rejected in here by the bears and we start pushing back down, we've got some areas of price support in here that could hold that. So watch that carefully. And T2107 also made a move up yesterday, almost 50% at the close of the day. We had that surge right at the end of the day in the Dow, and everything trying to surge right at the last few minutes of the day. Almost made it to 50%. So watch that area in here. We've got about half the stocks above their 200-day moving average. Going to be coming into this resistance. If we can pop through there, we've got resistance above up here in the 53, 54 area. If the bears were to find inspiration, little support in here around 48, and then of course would start pushing down in here 46 and on down 42 if those bears were to get going here in the market. Unfortunately, on the breadth side of things, well, it could be fortunate or unfortunate. We didn't see breadth increasing on that big bearish wave yesterday. So that's good for the bulls. But at the same time, we didn't see breadth following that move to the upside. Our breadth continued to decline yesterday. Despite the big moves in the market, our breadth was not all that strong. So we'll want to be watching carefully here on our T2101 as well. Let's take a look at our economic calendar for today. And our economic calendar, we've got a few things to be paying attention to. First off, we're going to get this morning, remember this is the beginning of the FOMC, nothing will come out of there today, but we're going to get durable goods here this morning. We'll want to keep an eye on that. Right now the consensus is suggesting improvement in here on durable goods from a negative 1.1 to a 0.8x transportation. They're seeing an improvement there to a 0.4, and core capital goods seeing a little bit of a decline here in the core capital goods from a 0.7 to 0.3. So watch that number carefully. It is definitely a market moving report. After that, we've got a Case-Shiller in here. Case-Shiller home prices, they're expecting those to remain flat here on the 20-city adjusted month over month to a 0.3. This could be very sensitive if we happen to see that increase. If we start seeing those home prices go up, there's going to be some worry on inflation on that, so watch that carefully. And 20-city adjusted year over year, they're looking for a decline to 0.1 from a 4.2, so watch that that close. After that, we've got home price index. This will be an important number as well to be watching those numbers. There's not a consensus on that one. We've got a consumer sentiment number. They're expecting consumer sentiment to improve. And I got to say, the celebration here after the election has been pretty remarkable. So I would say small business, all businesses seem to be showing an improvement in confidence. So we might see this move up and maybe even move up even stronger. If it happens to come in lower, though, just be prepared for a little bit of disappointment because that is a market moving report. We've got the Richmond Fed manufacturing. However this comes in, nobody's going to care. We absolutely ignore manufacturing anymore when it comes in with bad numbers. We just don't care. If we take a look in here, we've got note auctions on the 2-7 and then money supply there at the end of the day. Remember, as you plan forward into Wednesday, we're going to have our normal mortgage applications, but we're going to get international trading goods, retail and wholesale inventories, petroleum status, survey of business uncertainty, 4-month bill auction, and then the FOMC. And then right after the FOMC, we'll be facing Meta earnings and Microsoft earnings. So be prepared for a very big day of volatility in the market. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today. And our earnings calendar, we've got quite a few. There's no way I'm going to be able to cover them all here as we come along. So, and we start growing in the number of earnings. So make sure you know how to click the link. If you go down just below the title of the video, there's a link where you can click that link, and that will take you to the morning blog where you can get that full list of notables. Let's take a look here. Some notables on the list today. We've already received an earnings report from Boeing. It looks like we're kind of flat here on the Boeing report. We've got General Motors that has reported a little pop and drop going on there in the pre-market. They did report well, so I don't know, maybe there's something in the conference call that's pulling them back. We're going to hear from like JetBlue. We're going to hear from let's see, we've got Lockheed Martin that will be reporting today. So keep an eye on those. Progressive Insurance will be in there. We've got RTX in here. XRX will be reporting as well. SAP will be reporting. So those are all morning reports to be paying attention to here today. This afternoon, we also have a pretty good list of reports in here to be paying attention to. So make sure you know how to get to that link and check those out. A couple of notables in there are going to be Starbucks this afternoon. We've got PKG in there. We've got Lending Club will be reporting today. So, Chubb is in there. So quite a few reports, and it's only going to get busier here as we move heavily into the earnings numbers over the next couple of weeks. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube. Also click the bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And just a big shout out and thank you to everyone who does take the time to do that and shares my videos out on your social media feed. That helps a ton. And for everyone who continues to support the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link, you guys are truly, truly awesome. Thank you so much. Let's take a look. And by the way, I want to just have a big thank you to the open house yesterday. We had a large number of folks come to the open house yesterday, and some folks found a new home in the Right Way Options trading room yesterday. So for those of you that attended, thank you so much. I hope you got something out of the day, of the full day of education. Y'all take care, and look forward to you coming back and giving us a visit or taking another look at what we do in Right Way Options. Let's take a look at some of these stocks setting up. Remember, everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very, very careful in this market because of the volatility that we're likely to see over the next few days could be intense. So first off, Uber. This is something we were talking about all day yesterday. I've got this price alerted here on Uber. Uber not going down yesterday at all. Nice little resting pattern popped in here, and it looks like it's trying to follow through here this morning. Keep a close eye on Uber. This is a very, very bullish looking chart at the moment, and you can see up through its 50-day, it will have to challenge this resistance around the 200-day. Watch that carefully, and remember, it's going to report on 2.5, so you'll want to be paying attention to that. This VAL continuing to set up. It popped yesterday, just couldn't follow through to the upside, so let's watch that carefully, see if those bulls have that chance of following through here on that stock. But overall, still looking pretty darn good. TIGR, I think, is continuing this potential setup in here. We've pushed back. We failed in here. Went down, broke support, had a little bit of a downtrend going on. Now we've recovered, and we're trying to hold in this area, so watch that carefully. If that can pop on through to the upside, worth paying attention to, I think. TTWO, still struggling within this consolidation, but what I like about the chart is that it's not giving up. We broke support here, went back, retested up here in resistance, couldn't hold it, pulled back, but this time it hammered here on that higher low, held that trend break in the chart. So I think we might be getting close to a setup here in the chart. Maybe a couple of days of rest would help set that up, but watch that carefully if that starts breaking through to the upside there on TTWO. Take a look at old Mickey D's. Mickey D's making a nice break through resistance, and this is something I think everyone should start paying attention to. Not just McDonald's, but some old boring companies. And the reason I say that is when big tech sells off, there's usually a rush to try and pick up some defensive type stocks where there's a good dividend yield, stocks that are going to be around a long time. So McDonald's breaking through this downtrend. I wouldn't buy this here, but if that were able to rest or hold back, pull back in here, that's going to set up this inverted head and shoulders pattern, and a bullish pattern could set up in there on Mickey D. So I would keep an eye on that. I would also be looking into stocks like Coca-Cola that had a good day yesterday, pushing through. Notice it held this little higher low in here. Big stretch in Coca-Cola to the upside. Now what we need to see is this stock maybe rest right in here after breaking through this resistance, rest or consolidate, and then look for the next opportunity. So we're starting to see some of these old boring stocks coming back around. Take a look at J&J. Nice little move there in J&J yesterday, pushing to the upside, breaking through resistance. I think any rest or pullback that holds in here around trend someplace, it would be something I would want to be paying attention to. It's kind of interesting to me that this is continuing. We're seeing these credit cards zoom, even though there was news yesterday that the defaults are rising pretty substantially here in credit cards. Debt seems to be becoming a problem here for the consumer. So watch that carefully, but it's undeniable here on this breakout up here of this resistance. So any rest or pullback in here may set up that upside opportunity. But I got to tell you, with defaults nearly doubling over last year, that could be a problem overall longer term. So watch that carefully here in the chart. Take a look at Target. Target's trying to move back up and recover. We were moving up in this nice little trend and then failed. Now we're working that recovery in here. So any rest or pullback in here, whether it's in this little congestion zones right in here, or if it pushes through, rest or pull back in there, and then we might start to see target coming around here in the market. So watch that one pretty closely as well. Now, some of the big techs in here had a really rough day, but others did quite well. Amazon gapped down, pushed all the way back up. This is a bullish pattern up here. There's no way to look at it any other way but a bullish pattern. That's creating that higher low. May require some more rest in here, but watch that carefully. If we get that bullish move in those techs, we might see Amazon push on through to some new record highs. However, when we look at some things like AMD, boy, AMD not looking good at all. Big gap down, continuing to run in that downtrend. I think the next area of support would be down in here, so I wouldn't want to chase it for a short, but certainly not looking good in that. When we take a look at things like Medtronic, however, boy, it didn't even wiggle yesterday. Medtronic zooming to the upside here. Watch that carefully. We're trying to get this breakout happening up here. Now, I don't want to chase anything that's up that much, so let it rest, let it pull back, let it consolidate if you're not already in it, and let that kind of rest back, and I think we'll have some pretty good opportunities showing up there in that stock as well. So I'm already running this video long, so I'm going to cut it off there. I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for being here. Right now, I just want to let everyone know that we are running a $7 trial special where you can be in our trading room for a full month for $7. So you might want to take a look at that, and that is still available today after the open house yesterday. So you could still make that decision to join us and see if we can help you with your trading. Y'all take care, be safe. Want to wish you all the best, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Wednesday morning.